The UFC is squandering Bo Nickal's potential of being a fan favorite by, of course, shoving this guy down our throat, forcing us to deal with him being on the main card as opposed to other fighters that have clearly earned it more. And to make matters worse, being in a fight where we already know the outcome. I've even gone on to say that Cody Brundage, who is a total can, let's make no mistake about it, he is a bum in the UFC. He's a can. He's a quitter. He's literally quit in fights before. He's gotten out-grappled by Cedricus Dumas. If you know who Cedricus Dumas is, that ain't a good look either. What has this guy done to deserve to be on this card either, by the way? It's not just Bo's on the main card. Cody Brundage is on the main card. We're paying $80 for Cody Brundage too? Cody Brundage has a better chance of storming the beaches of Normandy on his own and winning the Battle of D-Day than he does to beat Bo Nickal. So why does the UFC think it's a good idea to put him on the main card? Oh, they're trying to build a prospect. Well, again, I understand it. They've done this before. They give the prospect a bunch of cans, and then they give him a favorable matchup in the rankings against a guy that's not in a setting where they're usually in, maybe like Jan getting a 3-rounder against O'Malley where he's usually getting 5s. Listen, the worst part about all of this, because the fans can't stand Bo Nickal being on this, and we all know that the more you shove a prospect down MMA fans' throats, the less they like them and the more they just want to hate on them and push back. The more they want to say, you know what, you're not going to tell us who we're going to get behind. We're going to get behind whoever we want, not who you tell us to. This is the worst part about it. Bo has a lot of potential to be a big star, but they're ruining it. They're squandering it by pushing him down our throats and giving him a main card spot when if they never gave him the main card spot, if he was on the early prelims, yes, people would say, why is Bo on the card? This is a little bit annoying, but no one would really be tearing into him. No one would be upset to the point to where if they didn't like Bo Nickal before or they didn't really feel any particular way about him, right? Or they didn't dislike him before is what I'm saying. Now they're going to dislike him, all right? Because that's what I'm seeing. I'm starting to dislike Bo Nickal because of him being given these spots. And it's annoying to me because in my opinion, Bo Nickal has a chance to be the biggest star in combat sports from the U.S. Like John Jones is on his way out and he's gotten up to no good. And a lot of people hate John Jones because of all the trouble he's gotten himself into. Sean Strickland's really funny and he's great. And I love Sean Strickland, but he's crazy and he's polarizing and not everyone's going to get behind him. All right. And he also doesn't have like a KO style. He doesn't have the most fan-friendly style necessarily. You've got a guy like, who else is a big star from the U.S. right now? What? Colby Covington? It's the shtick. You know, it's just not necessarily going to have everyone getting behind him. The shtick is kind of played out. And he's ducking fights. And he doesn't have the most fan-friendly style either. Bo is genuine, okay? Bo's a trash talker. He's cocky. He has a reason to be cocky as well. People don't understand that he's a trash talker. He does actually talk some shit. He does. He was saying a few years ago that he would smoke Darren Till right then and there before he had even got to the UFC, right? Bo likes to talk. He talks about how he would ragdoll Habib and ragdoll Hamzat, and he gets into it with the Dagestani fan base and whatnot. And he's got the blue-collar wrestling background, and Americans would get behind this guy. We would come out in droves to support this guy because he does have a chance to be like the next DC. I could see him being bigger than DC, but that's kind of the guy that I'm thinking of. Someone that was a fan favorite, that pretty much everyone loves, that has a fan-friendly style, that has that, you know, wrestling background. And especially now that the sport is even bigger than ever, it's bigger than it was when DC left the sport, Daniel Cormier. I think that he could be bigger than DC. But at this rate, he's starting to become like a Sean O'Malley in the fans' eyes in the sense that people are really not liking him. I see more haters on Bo than people that are supporting him. I mean, I even did a poll on who my followers would rather have win. Who would they root for this weekend between Bo Nickal and Cody Brundage? 44% of the people that voted on this, out of the 10,000 votes so far, are going for Cody Brundage. Why? Is it because Cody Brundage is some fan favorite? Is it because Cody Brundage is like, you know, a funny guy or whatever? He has great style? No, it's just because they want to see the UFC's plan backfire on them because part of their plan includes shoving this guy down our throat, not letting him grow. Oh, pause. Not having him organically get bigger as a star, okay? But anyway, like, look at these comments, bro. Nothing would be funnier than a Brundage viral one-shot KO. Cody sacrificial lamb Brundage, right? Brundage winning would make the card 10 times better because people would just want to see things blow up in the UFC's face because it's just funny. People are toxic like that sometimes. I am too, in a way, because it would just be funny to see their little golden egg get toasted in this one, but by an absolute can Cody Brundage. Imagine how much that would piss Dana White off. And people, sometimes we like to see someone else get angry. We like to see Dana Pink at the press conference, tomato face red, raging. He probably wouldn't talk about Cody. He'd probably take his anger out on another fight like he's done multiple times before. But again, the point that I'm making is if the UFC just put him on the prelims, or if they gave him like a better opponent, or just did both, none of this would be happening. And I'm not convinced that there's this massive fan base coming from the wrestling world. This idea that, you know, all the college wrestlers are going to be buying the pay-per-views. How many college wrestlers are there right now? Right? The people that are tuning into UFC pay-per-views are just hardcore UFC fans for the most part. Unless Conor McGregor is fighting, people that are tuning into pay-per-views are hardcore fans. How many pay-per-view sales is Bo generating from the wrestling world? I don't think many. Because if you check his Instagram, he doesn't have that much support. We're going to look at these numbers. He's basically on that Aljamain Sterling level. Maybe even not as high as Aljamain Sterling. Bo Nickal's getting like 7K likes on an Instagram post. A big star that's getting a lot of hype? Dude, Peyton Talbot probably has more hype than that on Instagram. We're going to look at some of these numbers, and I'm going to show you guys an interview that he did with Brett Okamoto where they're talking about how Cody Brundage is like some big step up in competition, which is just ridiculous to me. And
in terms of just like matchmaking and competition-wise, what do you see this fight as? How would you classify it in your career so far?
You know, every fight that I have, I think, is a step up in competition. You know, this would be my 6th professional fight, and I think, you know, every single time I've fought, it's been a guy that's been a little bit better, which to me is appropriate.
Listen, Cody Brundage is not a step up from whatever the fuck that guy's name was that he fought the first time that literally just got cut from the UFC, Jamie Pickett. He's not a step up from Jamie Pickett. Yes, he might be a step up from Val Woodburn, but slightly. And then you have Jamie Pickett, who basically just got cut. It's not really a big step up from Jamie Pickett, okay? It's another can. It's like the guy that is on thin ice in the UFC. He loses this next one, he's out.
It's going to be impossible to find you an opponent that is on your level when it comes to the wrestling. But is it kind of nice or different to know that you are facing a guy who has had a lot of time on the mats, and so like he's not going to be it's not going to be foreign to him, you know, if that happens? Like, is that kind of a different sort of nuance to this fight?
What? I don't understand the question. Did Brett Okamoto just ask Bo Nickal, you know, is it just kind of cool to know that this guy's got some more experience and, you know, he's been on the mat a little bit? What the fuck are you talking about? Been on the mat? Cody Brundage is a quitter. Cody Brundage has absolutely no resume in MMA. What are you on about? Did this guy have some like great college wrestling background that I'm not aware of? Even if he did, it doesn't mean shit in MMA. He's been getting smoked. He got a nice little slam KO, and slam KO. It's about as fluky as it can get.
Yeah, definitely different. You know, the first wrestler that I fought, obviously, you know, he's not only a wrestler but competed at a collegiate level, which is, you know, a lot of experience. And for me, that's exciting because it's a new challenge.
Wow, dude, he's competed at a collegiate level. Now it's all, wait a second. We got to take it all back. Cody Brundage is going to be a test for Bo Nickal, I guess. Yeah, sure.
And I see, like you said, you know, people aren't really going to be competitive with me on the wrestling mat, but this is an MMA fight. And so, you know, there's a lot of different aspects that come into play there. And the fact that he does have a strong wrestling background.
A strong wrestling background? Give me a break, dude. What are you talking about? Strong wrestling background? Are you kidding me? You're just trying to hype. You sound like Jake Paul trying to hype up your opponent. And Nate Diaz, world champion, multiple world champion. Or Anderson Silva, this guy, 16-time UFC champion, 14-time Golden Gloves champion. Yeah, he's 50 years old. So hyping up Cody Brundage for his wrestling credentials is just absurd to me. But anyway, let's look at these numbers on social media. And I'm going to show you guys the comments from the fans. Let's look at some of these comments. This is on the interview that Bo Nickal did with Brett Okamoto. He is a legitimate rising talent for sure, but based on the quality of the card overall, this is absolutely a prelim. 100%. Him and Cody Brundage should not be on the main card. They're not drawing at all. And I understand you want them to be on the main card because that's where they're going to get a lot of shine. But because the prelims are so stacked and it's UFC 300, People are going to be tuning in for Aljo versus Cater, Rakic versus Yuri. They're going to be tuning into the prelims. So yes, they'll watch Bo. Like, how many people are going to miss the prelims but watch the pay-per-view? Not many. Not many. Are there any casuals that are hyped up for Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill? There are some. But it depends on what you mean by casual. If what you mean by casual is someone that watches McGregor fights when he fights, and that's basically it, which is a lot of people. That's why McGregor sells so much more than anyone else, because there's so many people that never tune into pay-per-views unless McGregor's fighting. If that's what you mean by casual, then yeah, no casuals are going to be giving a fuck about Alex Pereira and Jamal Hill. I think we kind of overestimate how popular these guys are in the world, or, you know, how popular they are in comparison to Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling may not have the same. If I were to go outside and ask 100 people about Alex Pereira, most of them don't know who he is. All right. And the people that do, they'll probably know Aljo. They'll probably know Cody Garbrandt. But anyway, let's look at these other comments. Don't tell me y'all gonna interview Brundage. They have to interview Brundage. Brundage is a more entertaining interview than Bo right now. Should have been a featured prelim bout. Cody versus Figgy would be a way better opener. 100%. Cody versus Figgy would be a way better opener. This fight and Garbrandt's fight should switch places. Bo doesn't deserve to be on the main card fighting a tomato can. Exactly. He should not be fighting a fucking can when every other fight is competitive. It's like, think of the contrast. You got Cody Garbrandt going up against Figueiredo. Both guys have KO power. Dangerous fight for both. You've got Aljamain Sterling going up against a guy with great takedown defense with knockout power. You got Cater going up against the backpack himself. It's a competitive fight. And then you have Bo versus a hobo is what we're getting. Bo versus a hobo. It's basically it. Pathetic. Realistically, this should be the opener for the early prelims. It's like, you know, you're babying this guy. You're basically giving him like a newbie at the gym. I don't like it at all. I don't like it. This guy says, adversity, he's getting given easy fights. Shake my head. And then this guy responds, just building him up like any other contender. No, that's not what they're doing. They're not building him up like any other fucking contender. Building any other contender gets a main card spot on UFC 300? Really? Where's Roman Kopylov's UFC 300 spot? I know Roman Kopylov was given a big spot on 298, but where's his UFC 300 spot? Let me think of some other contenders. Where was Roman Dolidze's big pay-per-view main card spot in his second or third UFC fight? They're not building him up like any other contender. Are you out of your mind? You've got Cody Garbrandt on the fucking early prelims. You've got Calvin Kattar and Yuri Prochazka on the prelims. And yeah, any other contender is going to get placed above them? Are you out of your fucking mind? Adversity they're talking about. Yeah, you know, it's just a lot of adversity, man. See, I'm starting to hate on Bo Nickal. I don't want to hate on Bo. It's the UFC's doing. What is this guy doing on the pay-per-view of UFC 300? Humble him a little bit. Give him a bigger test. Just a slight jump up. Albert Duraev, maybe. Gerald Mearshart. Old head Mearshart. Give him something that's a bump up from Cody the Quitter Brundage. At least Gerald Mearshart is like top 5 all time in submissions. And then what? What's the argument going to be? No, but you don't understand. He's a big star. No, he's not. Bo is not a big star. Again, the idea that the wrestling world is riding with him heavy. When I look at a Bo Nickal comment section, I'm seeing for the most part just MMA fans. I'm seeing him get just as much engagement as Aljamain Sterling, even less. 10,000 likes on his last post. It's UFC 300 fight week. I don't even need to go to Zhang Weili's page, but I guarantee you Zhang Weili's last post is more likes than that. All right, because she actually has a really big following from China, of course, and like, you know, she's just more proven in MMA. But there's no one else on the main card that has 10,000 likes on a post from 19 hours ago. Max Holloway posts something 19 hours ago. He's probably got like over 100K already. Alex Pereira, he's probably got like 80,000, 100K already. Same thing with Justin Gaethje, like 72,000 or whatever. Look at this comment section from his most recent post. Let's go Bo, 13 likes. I would expect that a huge star in another sport, when they come over to MMA, that their comment sections before a big UFC fight are going to be flooded with support from that sports community that they just came from. I would expect comments with thousands of likes on them that have to do with terms that only people that know wrestling would understand, like a old name they used to call Bo. the old the old Iowa Beaver. I don't know, bro, but they'll call him some stupid nickname. Some wholesome nickname from the wrestling world that only wrestling fans know. That'll have like 500 likes on it, but there's no support like that. This guy ain't a fucking star. But there's this idea that on fight night, all the wrestling fans are going to tune in and buy that pay-per-view. Like, there are these dads. These old head wrestling fathers. Maybe their son is in college wrestling somewhere. Maybe they used to wrestle and they're a big Bo Nickal fan. Really? Is Bo that relevant? So where are these guys? Why are they not supporting him on social media? I know that old people don't have social media. I get it. But still, they kind of do these days. They kind of do. There's plenty of 50-year-old guys that probably follow the sport of MMA that are on social media, tuning in. Maybe they're not yapping about it like me, but maybe they're not watching my YouTube channel, but they're definitely on social media. All right? What? These guys are just out and about and they're cryogenically frozen. All these 50-year-old wrestling dads, and they're just going to pop up on Fight Night and buy that pay-per-view? Good luck. Good luck. There's probably like 10 guys. I'm picturing some guy that doesn't talk about MMA with anyone. Again, not MMA fans, wrestling fans. Don't watch MMA, but they're going to tune in to buy an $80 pay-per-view for the UFC because Bo's on it. They probably don't even know that Bo's fighting. You probably don't even know that Bo Nickal is competing in MMA right now. They forgot about him once he left college. They probably knew him as the guy that beat their son in a wrestling match. All right? Yet these people are picturing these old 50-year-old dads going about their day, not talking about an MMA, not engaging on any social media sites having to do with MMA, but on Fight Night, they're just going to pop up and buy that pay-per-view. Bullshit. I don't buy it at all. Bullshit. Not happening. All right? Bo Nickal does not have a big fan base. All right? A lot of the people that are going to be coming over to watch him are people that already like MMA. A lot of wrestlers want to get into MMA anyway. A lot of people that compete in wrestling, they love MMA anyway because it kind of fits together. I mean, wrestling's the best base for MMA, and look at all the wrestlers that have had success. But this idea that the wrestling world is going to come out in droves. Yeah? The wrestling world. What is this, the NBA? What, we got millions of people tuning in to watch D1 wrestling? I don't think so. There's this idea that wrestling, Division I college wrestling, has millions of fans. No, it doesn't. It's got a couple 100,000. I mean, it's a niche sport compared to MMA, which is also a niche sport. MMA is a niche sport. And wrestling is less than a 16th of what MMA is. It's probably got 5% of the pop that MMA has right now. This guy's got 10,000 likes in 19 hours, where the comment with the most likes is "Let's go Bo" with 13 likes. Where are the wrestling fans coming out in droves? All right? Where are they? He's got 622,000. He's got a YouTube channel that's not getting the same amount of views as Aljamain Sterling, and Aljamain's not exactly the biggest thing in the MMA YouTube world, although Aljo makes good content. I watch his videos sometimes. I ain't even tuning into Bo's podcast. All right? I want to like Bo Nickal. I do like Bo Nickal. I'm not just going to go along with the crowd, but he ain't a star. And you do not have a good reason to put him on the fucking pay-per-view. Again, we need to give this star exposure. Yeah, he'll get exposure on the early prelims. Hardcore fans are going to tune in to watch the early prelims, and hardcore fans are the only ones that are watching the fucking pay-per-views anyway. Again, humble him a little bit by putting him on an early prelim because the fans are going to want that. It's not even the most humbling experience. It will be a little bit humbling to Bo to let him know, hey, man, come on, dude, you're not there yet. All right, fight on the fucking prelims. But for the fans, for us, it's all right, the UFC's kind of, they're putting him through the ringer like other prospects, a little bit at least. They're at least making him earn his stripes a little bit. And give him a jump up. Give him a name. Someone that's relevant. Give him a Gerald Mearshart, even though he gets smoked too. Give him an Albert Duraev. Someone like that. It's just ridiculous at this point.